Welcome to the Trading Bell. I'm Noki Kimboy, and today we're about to have a conversation on matters to do with banking sector, but a player who is rather unique. The way she's operated in the industry has been unprecedented and breaking all the barriers, especially coming from an age of banking where banking was a reserve for the few. And then that wall was brought down. And now banking is to empower the mwananchi, the small businesses, the women, the agricultural sector. That is the precedence that they have set in this particular industry. And the leader of this organization has taken time to speak to us. So welcome with me, the CEO of Family Bank, Nancy Njau. Welcome to the Trading Bell Show.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, it's quite interesting, Nancy, when we look at the way the Kenyan financial ecosystem has evolved when it comes to banking. From your perspective, because you've been at Family Bank for quite a while, and we'll talk about that later on, but from your assessment, where have we come from? What have been the biggest milestone and changes that you've seen in the banking world?
All right, thank you, Noah. As you've pointed out, indeed, we've had a lot of changes within the banking sector. I joined banking almost 24 years ago. And the banking of then is totally different from the banking of today. Because those days we were really focusing on brick and mortar. We never used to have that technology where you could solution yourself, serve yourself as a customer, maybe using a digital channel, a mobile phone and all that. It was not there. But over time, we have seen increasingly usage of digital platforms and channels, such that today you find customers are more inclined to operating or doing their banking digitally rather than going to brick and mortar to branches. So majority of the transactions are actually happening via digital channels. Again, where we have come from, we had a lot of Kenyans, so to speak, because I've been able to work within the Kenyan market that were underserved. The financial inclusion was not as we are today. Those days, if you had a conventional account, very few people had conventional accounts. But we've seen that change across the years, such that right now that gap has really reduced, and you're talking about majority of Kenyans now having financial access. So there has been a lot of changes within the banking sector. Interestingly, even then, we never used to have industries like telco being in competition with the banking sector. Now we really competing with the telcos. That time it was a reserve. If it is telco, it's telco. It is not doing anything financial services. Again, the other financial service offerers like SACCOs, they were not as strong as they are today. So we've seen a lot of evolution, which is also good for the economy and for the people at large.
Definitely. And that spirit of evolution within Family Bank, when you talk about ownership, when you talk about growth and capitalizing on our capital markets, the NSC, there is an evolution that is coming. There is growth. Now you guys are listing in the NSC. And this is not the common listing, because most of the firms that want to come to the NSC, most of the time is raising capital. But this one is by invitation. Help us understand the difference between these two types of listing and why this is very critical for Family Bank.
Okay. Family Bank has not been left behind over the years. This is our 42nd year since we were founded. And we've been on a journey of growth. Back then in the year 2006, that is when we did our first private placement. It was like 20 years ago. We did our first private placement where we invited our customers then, and they bought shares privately. So that was the first time we did a call. Along the journey, we've had instances where we've done rights issues We've invited the existing shareholders to come and exercise their rights, they buy more shares, and that has happened over time, just trying to capitalize the bank because of the growth, again, the nature of growth. The beauty of Family Bank is that we've not had an opportunity to say we are raising capital because of a regulatory requirement, we're in breach, or our ratios are not looking good. No. The only thing that has made us to get to really looking out for capital is the business growth. And over time, we've had those conversations. In the recent past, we also did a rights issue that was back in the year 2023. And again, last year, we did a very successful private placement where we had a target to raise 6 billion, and we ended up raising 8 billion, so which was 131% subscription. So what this did is it really strengthened our balance sheet in terms of business growth and all that we need to do as far as our business is concerned. So right now where we are is looking at how do we list within the main market segment of the NSE, but you're listing by introduction. To your question, the difference between listing by introduction and an initial public offer, when you're listing by introduction, you're not seeking to have additional capital. So right now we are only listing the shares that we already have, the issued shares that we already have. So we are not seeking to have additional shares issued out there in the market. So we are not seeking to have additional capital coming on board at this time, because as I've mentioned, we did a successful private placement last year. So as we speak, we are well capitalized to take the business to the next level. Okay. And we are quite excited about it. It's something that we've really been looking forward to. We've worked towards it. So we are very excited and we are celebrating that finally it's coming to pass.
It's quite interesting. I mean, the ripple effect, especially for your customers, the people that you're impacting each and every single day. What will that look like with this particular move of now operating in the main market? Will it have, a cascaded impact to them?
Exactly, it will. And there are various stakeholders who are going to benefit from our listing at the NSE. Number one, I've talked about the shareholders who bought shares back in 2006. So they've been holding onto their shares for that long. Of course, we've been having trading over the counter. So if a customer wants to, or if a shareholder wants to sell their shares, they are able to sell shares over the counter or buy shares over the counter. But realize that that does not give them the liquidity that is required, because as a shareholder or as an investor, then you should be able to buy and sell. That convenience needs to be there, but it has been lacking. So number one, in terms of then who benefits from this listing, our existing shareholders are going to benefit because it gives them that easiness and that convenience. I can sell, I can buy. I can buy additional shares, or I can sell what I have and all that. And I can do whatever I want to do with my shares when we are listed.
In terms of opening up, ownership, as you've said, one of the impacts, it will be that some of your customers have experienced the impact of the bank in their lives, and they're like, I want to be part and parcel of that particular story. Now opening it up to Kenyans, projecting what impact that would have. I mean, I'm quite bullish from my point of view, because it means what you're doing on the ground will be more impactful. And what you're doing on the ground, especially, you are known as the bank that caters to the MSMEs. And I want us to talk about MSMEs for a moment, because it's one of those subsectors in our economy that is viewed as very risky. But you guys decided to prioritize them. What is the mentality behind that, and what price have you had to pay to make sure that MSMEs within this country are well financed, they have somewhere that they can get funding?
Just allow me to respond to you like this. In terms of listing, we are going to broaden our shareholders base, because for the longest we've had shareholders who are not increasing. They were not increasing. The shareholders were not increasing. But now we have a very good opportunity to widen that shareholder base. Any Kenyan from every walk of life, they're in a position to come and become shareholders within Family Bank. Coming specifically to the MSME segment, as you've rightly put, as Family Bank, we've perfected our offering to the SME space. And looking at that sector in our economy, it's a very huge sector. Looking at the number of people who are in MSME, or the businesses that we have in MSME. In fact, we have over 7.4 million people who are doing MSME business. Looking at the contribution of the MSME sector in terms of our economy, GDP growth is 40%. So it's not a sector it's not a sector that you can ignore. But as you've rightly put, it requires a partner who understands and who walks the journey, because majorly it's a risky segment because of how they operate their businesses. But as Family Bank, looking at our journey of growth for the last 42 years, spreading from one branch, as we speak today, we have 96 branches. And these 96 branches are located in places where we have majorly MSMEs operating within those environments. Look at the kind of contribution that MSME is making in the economy in terms of the labor market. They're employing so many people within that, within the MSME space. So it is not a sector that you can ignore, but it's a sector that requires a lot of understanding. And that, as Family Bank, we've taken our time to unpack this MSME. Who is this MSME? In our new strategic period, we are saying we don't want to just think about something that we can offer to the MSME customer. It's a question of engaging them, understanding what are their pain points as they do their businesses. Where is this that we need to come up and intervene? And our offering is not only financial offering, it is even non-financial offering. Some of the MSMEs, as we speak today, the reason why they are struggling is because of even lack of financial literacy. They don't know how to keep their books. So when it comes to accessibility to finance, they can't get it. Because if you go to a bank, they're telling you, we want to see the balance sheet, we want to see your P&L. And to an MSME customer, they're like, what the hell is that? They don't know. As Family Bank, we've gone a step further, educating our MSMEs. We've had forums across this country, sitting down with MSMEs, understanding their processes, understanding their journeys, and most importantly, coming up with solutions that speak to them. So we take MSMEs who are within the health sector. What is happening in the health sector? What are your business cycles like? What interventions can we make? We go to the water sector, education sector, energy sector, whichever sector that is there. And that is what we are implementing today. However, we've also had to onboard partnerships that really work with us the journey. We've had partnerships that are working with us in terms of de-risking that segment. And that really helps us to walk the journeys with our MSMEs. Okay. We've strengthened our underwriting standards, just making sure that then the ones that we are offering the financial solutions or credit, for example, we've been able to understand their businesses and we know the interventions that we need to make. So it's about really strongly having a relationship with them, understanding them, and offering that solution. And for us, we have the advantage that we have a huge distribution network. We have digital platforms where our SMEs are able to operate from. So we start that advantage in terms of serving that market. Okay. And currently we are positioning ourselves as the preferred bank for Biashara. You cannot talk about Biashara if you're not talking about the MSME segment in this country.
Yeah, definitely. One of the visions that is boosting a lot of confidence with, even as you list in the main market segment, is that clear communication that we are heading towards being a tier 1 bank. We are for growth. We want to scale our impact. Talk to me about that journey so far. Because if I put my money into somebody who is heading and they want to grow, I feel so confident about it. Talk to me about the journey towards tier 1.
No, I can confirm to you that's where we are headed. So you'd rather put the money in Family Bank. It's been quite an exciting journey, and our ambitions, our dreams, our aspirations are alive to that fact. And we are geared towards that, achieving the tier 1 status. Because as Family Bank, where we sit, we are asking ourselves, 42 years in the market, 96 branches. In fact, not many banks in this country have the kind of distribution network that we do, the kind of investments, and our people, so to speak, and the customers that we've walked the journey with. So we are very clear in our minds that tier 1 is the place that we want to land. We need to have a market share of at least 5% within the next 5 years. So that one we are very clear in our minds. And if you look at the performance in the recent past, you are able to see that we've been able to achieve a compounded annual growth rate of double digit on all the key metrics. When it comes to our total assets, double digit. When it comes to our shareholders' funds, double digit. Our deposits, double digit. Our loan book, double digit. Our profits, double digits. Those are the things that you check. Those are the metrics that you check. The Q1 results that we did, you must have seen that Family Bank recorded the highest growth in the industry at 52.6%. That is not mean. That is very deliberate. And our strategic plan, 2025-2029, is speaking into that is where we belong. In fact, that is where we belong. We are catching up. Our brand is already a tier 1 branch, a tier 1 brand. So what we are doing is really to rally our numbers to reach our brand at tier 1, because it's a tier 1 brand. Family Bank is known everywhere in this market. Family Bank is known. And we have everything. We have invested digitally. One of our pillars in our strategy is digitization and data utilization.
Yes.
We are solutioning over 1.3 million customers. We are investing in technology. We are investing in our people. We are listing. Those are just pointers that tier 1, we are coming.
Definitely.
Very
future ready.
Exactly. We are future ready.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for conversing with us on the Trading Bell. And all the best with this listing. And most importantly, the impact of the bank in the lives of Kenyan businesses, the MSMEs that need this lifeline that Family Bank provides. Once again, asante sana.
Thank you very much, Noah, for having me. This is Family Bank, with you for life.
There you have it. Nancy Njau, CEO, Family Bank. She says that we are all about growth, but most importantly, impact. We are a tier 1 brand. We are rallying the numbers towards tier 1, and in the next 5 years, we are breaking all those numbers. We are coming to the top. 5% of the market. Quite ambitious right there. Has been our conversation right here on the Trading Bell. My name is Njau. Bye-bye for now.